Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Manchester United versus Everton preview. Absolutely massive game at Old Trafford, Saturday lunchtime. It's a game that Ten Hag cannot afford to lose. It's a game that Manchester United cannot afford to lose. And it's a game that if he did lose, then I think the pressure just becomes absolutely unbearable. This game for me rests on the shoulders of one player, and it's ridiculous because he's only just turned 21. His name is Rasmus. We absolutely need him back for this game. Everton, do your homework. They are not a bad side. Last week against Everton, they absolutely dominated them. If I told you this, against Everton last week, they had an amazing amount of the possession. They had an amazing amount of shots. 22 shots to West Ham's 12. 11 on target to West Ham's 5. And, of course, they lost 3-1. This is something Sean Dyche has been talking about all season. His XG is massive. They're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. And long may that continue for Manchester United. Now, there's some interesting team selections there, but I'll explain what I mean about that. The interesting thing also is that when you look at the Premier League table this season, Everton's away record is actually higher than our home record. In the home league table, we're 10th on our home form with 22 points. Everton are 9th in their away league form with 18 points. They've won 5, drawn 3, lost 5. And defensively, they're pretty good. They've conceded the same amount of goals as what we've conceded away, which is 19, which isn't too bad. It's better than Tottenham. It's better than West Ham. It's better than Bournemouth. It's better than a lot of teams, to be fair. So they are doing quite well away from home, Everton. And I think you can see that this game, traditionally, we normally beat Everton 2-0 at home, even back in the Sir Alex days. And I think it will be a tight game. I really, really do. And I think it's a really difficult game because I don't think a lot of people will look at this and not give Everton the respect they deserve, in the sense that they have been playing quite well this season. They've just not been putting the ball in the back of the net. I watched them go to Man City a few weeks ago and they defended really, really well. But as we know, if you go to Man City, one goal's not enough. And they didn't even score one. They were quite, I think Calvert-Lewin played up front and he was rubbish. So this is a game that Man United need to win. I think a lot of people are going to predict we're going to win. I certainly am. But I'm not going to write it off as an easy game because the big thing about this game is it comes down to these set of players and how much they want it, which is why, for me, I think Hojlund is so important. He leads the press. His work rate sets the tone. If you're the striker of a team and the defence have got the ball and you've got a striker that's relentlessly closing them down, the rest of the team have to do it. I've seen it at Old Trafford, and it's so easy to read. If Hojlund is pressing and the rest of them don't, the crowd can see it a mile off, and they're on the players that aren't. He forces everybody else to work hard because they stand out like a sore thumb if they don't. Absolutely essential in how we embark on the press. And let's not forget as well with Hojlund, we had won those 4 games in a row. He didn't play against Fulham and it all went wrong. He's absolutely essential, and he's absolutely essential for this game. Now, the story is he's going to play. We won't know that until Saturday, to be honest with you. And I don't think Ten Hag will confirm it tomorrow, so in the press conference. So absolutely essential that he plays. If he doesn't play, my confidence in this game drops. If he does play, I think it's a huge boost. But how long can he actually play for as well? Can he play 90 minutes? It's very, very unlikely, which means that when he is on the pitch, we've got to be effective. I think I want to start with the defence, though, because you'll see a bit of a change, and there'll be a lot of people quite rightly saying, well, why is Johnny Evans not playing? This is purely tactical. I'm looking at who we're playing, and I don't want them anywhere near our goal. I do want us to play a higher line. The mistake we made against Fulham was that we had to play a low line because we had Lindelof at left back and Maguire at centre back, and we had to play a low block. We've got to get that line up. We've got to say to Onana, we need you today. We need you to be on the edge of your box. Anything long, just come and take it. And at least with Lindelof and Varane, Lindelof's the closest we've got to any semblance of pace next to Varane that we can push that line up. Now, Amrabat's a bloody nightmare, but at least as a left back, he can invert into the midfield, which is what Dalot does, and he's more mobile. I was looking at what Everton did in their last game. They had Harrison on the right. Now, he's industrious. He's not Speedy Gonzalez, And therefore, I think Amrabat against him, I think we might be okay with that. But look, what we cannot do is allow another team to come to Old Trafford and express themselves. We've got to press them high up the pitch. Now, we couldn't do that against Fulham because we had Lindelof and Maguire in the back four, and we didn't want to get caught for pace, as Roy Keane might quite rightly said. But we also didn't have Hojlund. We've got to press Everton. We've got to get after them in this first half an hour. I think Garnacho and Rashford have to start. I know Rashford's getting a lot of stick, but as we saw against Man City, he's worth starting because if he gets a chance, he probably scores it. His overall game, look, I spoke about this in the Anthony video. His defensive work rate is abysmal compared to Anthony and Garnacho, but he might have a goal in him, and goals win games. Bruno, look, let's not focus on Rashford. Bruno's been abysmal for the last 2 months. You've got to pick him because he's the captain and there's nobody else, but we need a performance from him. I think Casemiro and Mainu pick themselves, and of course Delo and Varane do as well. So that's how I would go with this. I don't know whether he'll do it. If he plays Johnny Evans and Lindelof, then we're going to have to play a deep line, which means when Everton break, they can get at our deep line like Fulham did. We've got to look after the ball as well. I mean, to me, people talk about our style of play. I think it's very easy to read, and I think most of you can read it. And I think the people who call it out are the people that don't actually want to acknowledge what's going on. We are trying to press high up, but we are also having to keep a low block because of a lack of pace. And what happens is we don't look after the ball. And that is going to screw you because the team win the ball back, they go through our midfield, and they're on our back four. We've got to look after the ball better. We didn't do it against Man City. In the second half, we created nothing. We didn't do it against Fulham. We gave them the ball. They kept coming at us. We've got to look after the ball. Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, Hojlund if he starts. We've got to look after this ball, keep the ball. And what I mean by that is, if we get the ball in the final third and there's not a really good pass on, pass it back to Mainu. Pass it to Casemiro. Rotate. Give it to Delo. Keep the fucking possession. We've got to look after the ball. You cannot be broken upon if you look after the ball. And this is the big thing that people miss out on. We are so careless with the ball, and that's why teams break upon us. If we can keep the ball and Rasmus starts and we can implement the press, we'll win a lot of the ball high up and then we'll create chances and score goals. And I think the defence has got to be high up as well. So that's why I would go with that team because, as I said, if you put Johnny Evans in at centre-back and Lindelof at left-back, naturally we've got to move deeper, and that creates that massive gap between the defence and the attack. It's tough. It's really, really tough. I look at the situation with United. I said it last night. I don't think it's a great look for Ineos at the moment. They're drifting into Glazer's style of doing things, head buried in the sand. Let the press write what they want to press, what they want to write. I think we need to get hold of the story here. And you know what? It's dithering because maybe they're looking at this game like we're looking at it and going, I just don't know what's going to happen. But by dithering, you're allowing the uncertainty. And as Ollie said about these players, they only need a glimpse of an excuse and they'll down tools. So this game's going to be really interesting. The message to the players has to be, this is Old Trafford. And I would expect, there was a lot of unhappiness after the Fulham game. And if these players are on the pitch and they're not putting a performance in, then I don't think they're going to get away with it anymore. Because regardless of what happens with the manager, everybody's fully aware that some of these players just aren't fit for purpose. And that Solskjaer interview was damning, that some of those players that played under Solskjaer are still here now. And, the effort levels, the downing of tools, they're not being interested, bloody disgusting. Not wanting to do interviews, not wanting to have a captain's armband. I can't believe the collection of bad mentality players we've brought into this club over the last decade. And we need to see a performance, because one thing about a Dyche side and one thing about Everton is they're going to come, they're not going to be scared, and they're going to express themselves. And we have got to fight for this. There is nothing about 75,000 fans in Old Trafford that's going to intimidate Everton, because we're not intimidating. We've got to fight for it from minute 1 to minute 90. And it might not be enough. I would say in this game, if we can win it by 1 goal and scrap it, it's 3 points. We're in that sort of zone at the moment. There's not a lot to come back either. I was looking at this. Rasmus is massively important. Liverpool at home next week in the Cup. But we haven't got anybody coming back. Luke Shaw's not coming back. Martinez isn't coming back. Mason Mount's still not back. Malacia's not back. I mean, Harry Maguire might be back, but I don't know that I put Harry Maguire in this game because we've seen what happens. I don't want to see Maguire and Lindelof as the left back and left-sided centre-back because we'll see what happened with Fulham again. We've got to try and get up that pitch. But this is what we've got, and Rasmus is massively important to it. And if he doesn't play, I think it might be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle anyway. I mean, I'm looking at the Everton team. Tarkowski, Branthwaite, they're hard-working centre-backs, and they're going to graft, and they're going to get physical. And if they sense there might be an injury issue with with Hojlund, Tarkowski, you know what he's like. He's going to get in on him. Their midfield has got Onana, James Garner, Decore. That's going to be really, really, difficult. McNeil on one side, as Harrison on the other. As I said, I don't know whether he's fit. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't actually know if he's fit, Iwobi, but if Iwobi was fit, I'd be quite worried. He's exactly the sort of player that could exploit our weak left-hand side. I don't know what the situation is with Iwobi. He wasn't on the bench last week, and I'm just having a quick look now. I don't think he played for him last week. He doesn't play for them. He plays for bloody Fulham, you twat. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Thank God he went to Fulham. When did he go to Fulham? When did he go to Fulham, Iwobi? Why did I think he was still at Everton? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know what? This isn't even live. I could easily clip this out, but you know what? We're real. We're real here. I'm not going to clip it out. Yeah, he signed for Fulham in 2023. So, yeah, to be fair, it was only last season. But I tell you what, you know why I'm thinking about it? Because I'm thinking about the bloody Fulham game, aren't I? But no, look, I think that we've got to be wary of their midfield. It's going to be their strong area, of course it is. And I'm going to go Man United to win it 2-0. The old traditional 1-2 at home against Everton. And look, I will do this. It needs to be done. And I'm sure some of you are going to moan about it, but it does need to be done. I'm going to show you. Here it is. This is what the league table looks like at the moment. And Manchester United have got 44 points. Villa and Spurs play each other on Sunday. If we were to win, we would go 47 points. Now, obviously, Spurs have got a game in hand on us. Assume they win that. That would put us 6 points behind Spurs. And, no, it would put us 3 points behind Spurs. And it would put us 8 points behind Villa. Now, they're playing each other. So I don't think we're going to get top 4 or 5, but beating Everton keeps the dream alive. And, I think that's really important. If we don't beat Everton, I'm looking behind us. West Ham are only 2 points behind us. Newcastle are only 4 points behind us. It's that. I think the enormity of this game cannot be understated. We are basically in a situation where we have to win this game of football. A draw or a loss, and we're going to drop down that league. A win, and it keeps things alive. It gives us a bit of a positive going into that Liverpool game. So we've got to win this game. But you know what? If I'm being completely blunt, and if you want to clip something, you can clip this. If we don't beat Everton, it'll be because the players have down tools. If we beat Everton, it'll be because the players are playing for the badge. Two extremes there. Take your pick, lads. But it is. That team on your screen is good enough to beat Everton at home. If it doesn't, it ain't interested. It's checked out. It's sacking another manager. If it does, there is a unity there and they want to do it. Now, what I will say is, the way we defended against Man City, there was unity. The way we played in them 4 wins with Rasmus, there was unity. There's no reason to think that these players aren't going to put a shift in. Another good point is McTominay. Would you put McTominay into this game? If he picks McTominay, he's dropping Mainu. And we need to be on the front foot. If he picks McTominay, we're going to get run over in that midfield. Scott McTominay, Bruno and Casemiro will get absolutely run over by Garner, Onana and Decore. We have to put Mainu in there. We've got to be more defensive. If you want to put McTominay in, you've got to drop one of your wingers and put Bruno on the wing, which nobody really wants to see. So, of course, McTominay will play if Hojlund doesn't play, because we'll play the same team that we did against Manchester City. But I still think we've got to be compact, but I think we've got to be compact higher up the pitch. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Get your comments in below. I want to ask you 3 things. Do you agree with my team? And if you don't, get your team in. Do you agree with this, the fact that if Hojlund plays, we win? If Hojlund doesn't play, you're concerned? And do you agree with the fact that if we lose this game, it's players again downing tools? Or do you think that's a little bit harsh? Get your comments in below. Let me know what you think. I'll speak to you on the next one.